our first field trip, but I would say this was a summertime feel. It was also on the weekend, so it was really populated. And I remember saying, "Oh, next time let's go on a weekday," because there was so much activity. But what's very cool about Corbett's Glen is that you've got a very kind of rugged terrain. There's a lot of huge boulders and kind of steep incline, and yet you've got a marsh area. You've got a really pretty significant waterfall that's coming underneath a train trestle. So all of this is in a very small amount of land. And the one area that I liked and we were all drawn to was this teepee that is right there, and it's also right behind me, that we all just kind of lit on, and it was large enough to go inside, and you could see the shadows when you were inside looking out. It was such a wonderful come upon, and I used this image with another image from Mendon Ponds, which was a tree hole, and collaged them together, and then made this image, which is one of my favorite images of the ones I did for this show. It kind of takes on a very, a wild, crazy, I don't know what, it's very festive, but it's also very strange looking. But the teepee, I wonder about it quite often. Is it still there? Who made it? How long has it been there? And then I noticed just today in my backyard, I have two teepees. And one is of bamboo. I grow bamboo, and then in the winter I have to cut some down because it hangs over my driveway. And so I have all these pieces of bamboo, and then I have another teepee of plexiglass poles that our friend Charlotte Barnard gave me as she was moving to Florida. She gave me like the 25 pieces of plexiglass poles. So instead of saying no, I said, sure, I'll take them. So they're in the yard too. So the teepee is alive and well on canvas and in reality.
Well, what I think is cool about the teepee too is that, here you are in nature, which is organic, and then you stumble upon something that is man-made, even though they're still using organic materials. But it also, a teepee houses, a community of people, and it's kind of, symbolic in a way because, here we are, the four of us are our community has become our community of artists and our, special field trip group that we've evolved into and have grown,
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of neat too, I think.
I think an interesting thing about Corbett's Glen is that it's a park, it's a recent park in Monroe County history, but it was made or town history, and it was made by donated land from, I think, primarily 3 individuals and another group. And their generosity made this happen, and we need green space like this. Our suburbs are built very heavily, and they need the green space, and I just love going through here. There's open areas of the park that we didn't go through. We went through mostly the wooded areas, but it's quite diverse for being a small park.
Yeah, and I think that these parks end up being such a great thing that maybe a lot of people don't even realize that they're there. But you think of like, oh, I'm in the city, or I'm in a suburb, and there's houses all around, and you think you've got to go real far to get out into nature. But these things are right around the corner a lot of times.
Yeah,
Definitely.
And it's a very popular park. There's never a day that I've gone by there that there hasn't been, several cars there, and people really indulge and take advantage of that park. So
that was our first field trip, and I noticed that we were walking through it. Everyone was looking at the same things, but at the same time, of the four of us, people were focusing on different things. Zan was looking at the tree holes, and the teepee, and but I actually happen to be looking down a lot. There's something, in fact, that's why my work is called Groundworks. I did a piece that I did not put in the show based on some rapids that were in this water, with rocks and water kind of swirling around it. I have actually 9 other pieces that I made that are not in the show, and they're of me pointing my camera to the ground. That physicality of hiking, walking over pine needles, walking over gravel and stones, walking through water. That perspective really appeals to me, and it ended up being interpreted in a lot of my work.
And that's a good point, Nancy, because my view, which I really hadn't thought about until you've just said this, but my view was like as if I were a drone flying above with a skewed perspective, river, lake, pond, body. And I could say this for all of our hikes. I would look at it as if I was an aerial, drone view and drawing a topographical map and sort of enhancing that or fantasizing the landscape. And so I was sort of removed looking down. And so we all had very different perspectives. It's fun.
Yeah, that was great about our perspectives. We're all different in the same place.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. That's kind of a metaphor for the whole show, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.